So Pheromosa, like most of the Ultra Beasts, they kind of specialize in one thing, and for Pheromosa, that's just all-out attacking with high base speed, with 151 speed and 137 in both attacking stats. And Pheromosa is pretty much a glass cannon. 71 health is not bad, but when you have 37 defenses, it doesn't matter. You're super frail, but Pheromosa isn't like it's extremely frail, but Dynamaxing can give it a little more bulk so it can survive at least a hit. Even some super effective hits, as long as it's not like flying, which is 4 times effective. And like all the Ultra Beasts, it has the ability Beast Boost, which it raises your high. Whenever you get a KO, it raises your highest stat by 1, which is pretty good. But with Pheromosa, getting your speed boosted is not the greatest thing, because it kind of, after a certain, it gets diminishing effects really fast when you boost your speed repeatedly. And if you already outspeed everything after like +1 speed, there's no point of getting more Beast Boost, and there's nothing you can do about it mid-battle. So you have to kind of play around that. And being bug fighting, you're weak to flying, fire, psychic, and fairy. Like I said, Dynamax, Pheromosa is not gonna survive very many hits on Dynamax. And even Dynamax is gonna take a lot of damage, but flying especially has a very good chance to just one-shot Pheromosa Dynamaxed. But that's why its health kind of saved it a little bit with 71. But it resists fighting, ground, bug, grass, and dark. So it has a good amount of resistances. But again, when you're this frail, it does not matter. But one way to run Pheromosa is just Dynamax. In my opinion, if you're running Pheromosa, you either have it sashed, or you either have a sash, or you're doing something with Endure. Because Pheromosa is just going to take a hit, is you're going to do damage and then get KO'd back 9 times out of 10. So with this one, you want to Dynamax into these with high jump kick, raise your attack, stab with lunge, bounce raises your speed, and just ice is really good coverage now, especially with all the dragons going around. And Dynamax, as long as you stay away from flying, which is kind of common, because it's one of the more common ones, because it raises your speed, which is really good. So weakness policy, you want to get hit with a super effective hit, so fire, psychic, and fairy, which are common. As long as they're not super powerful, they shouldn't one-shot you. And survive a hit, and pretty much two-shot them, because you outspeed a lot. As long as you don't run into the legendary dogs, Barrascuda, the electric Reggie. As long as you stay away from them, the really fast things, you should outspeed. And that's why I said you always want to run modest or adamant on Pheromosa, or at least raise your attacking stats and not your speed, because you get diminishing returns really fast. Especially when you have bounce, which also already raises your speed. But what you really want to do with this is bounce, take a hit, take a super effective hit, get weakness policy, and then KO them at that point. If you can get a high jump kick, that's even better. Dynamaxed. And this one actually, and Pheromosa actually can survive undynamaxed, as long as triple axle doesn't really screw you over. The rest of your moves are pretty good. Lunge lowers their attack, which even if you don't KO them, that's actually really good on a physical attacker. High jump kick can miss, so you can replace high jump kick with close combat if you're worried about that miss, because if it misses, you're dead at that point. If they attack, you're KO'd. You also have to worry about priority, and so it sucks that Pheromosa does not learn any psychic moves, because priority is your biggest thing with this, because you're going to take a lot of damage off of that hit Dynamax, and once you undynamax, pretty much any priority with your low defense is going to KO you at that point, so you have to be careful about that. But Pheromosa pretty much can one-shot everything. If you can get a +2 or +3 attack on 137, and you outspeed pretty much everything, you resist Sucker Punch, but it's still going to do a good amount of damage, especially if you take a super effective hit, especially when you're done Dynamaxing. Sucker Punch is going to do a lot of damage. You might survive, you might not, just depends. But that Pheromosa is good for that. And here's a special version of it, or more so, here's a special Pheromosa. It has Quiver Dance, which is one of the best setup moves in the game. It's even better than Dragon Dance because it gives you that defense, but with Pheromosa, that doesn't really matter as much. Bug Buzz, Focus Blast, Ice Beam. I'm not the biggest fan of Focus Blast, especially on something as frail as Pheromosa with the 70 accuracy, because if you Quiver Dance and then Focus Blast misses, you get KO'd. So it's not the greatest thing. Again, Sash, because you use Quiver Dance, you're going to be at 1 hit points almost every time. It sucks Pheromosa does not learn Reversal though. But another thing that sucks about Pheromosa is if you look at its special coverage, it learns Bug Buzz and these moves, and that's it. And the only other good move it learns is Ice Beam and Blizzard, which Blizzard has the accuracy, same as Focus Blast. And the only special fighting move it learns is Focus Blast, which sucks. It doesn't learn anything through TM or through tutoring, so you kind of get in a bad spot. So it's like, okay, you already have Ice, so there's no point of Icy when Electro Web has very low base power and it has a chance to miss. Hyper Beam, you can't move the next turn, so that's, unless you blow something up, it's an option, honestly, because Pheromosa's moveset's so bad coverage-wise. But if you don't want to run Focus Blast, I would recommend a Foul Play. Foul Play because it uses their attack stat, so you can still get something out of it, 100% accuracy. And if they have a good attack stat, Foul Play will do a lot of damage. So go from there instead of Focus Blast. But that's what kind of sucks about Special Pheromosa. But with the +1 speed and special attack, if you can get a KO or two, your special attack will be high enough to where you'll pretty much take a lot of things out of Buzz and Ice Beam, especially if you hit them super effective. But this is a doubles Pheromosa because Pheromosa has access to Speed Swap, which this is the only time I'll ever save run. This is the only time I really recommend running a Speedy Nature on Pheromosa. But what you want to do is in doubles, if you have an ally that has like really good stats overall, but they just have low speed, something like a Wishy Washy, to where like it has really high stat but a low speed, you give it Pheromosa speed, especially in doubles, it's gonna shred everything. And now it's super fast because a lot of Pokemon kind of get quote unquote like balanced by giving them low speed but really good stats overall. So if you give them Pheromosa speed, that's really good. Taunt, again, like the other moves after Speed Swap are up to you. Taunt's pretty good because you're so fast. Or if you expect they're gonna do something turn one, instead of Speed Swapping, you can Taunt. Endure is really good, especially in doubles. It's like Protect, but it's whatever. It's just like Protect at that point. I like the Sash though, just in case they try to double up on you, or first turn they just try to blow you up. That way you can survive that hit and maybe last another turn. Like if they are, that's why I said you have to be careful, because it's one of those things. I like Endure too. I mean, it's Endure, Focus Sash, it's kind of whatever at that point. Like Focus Sash just so you can guarantee the speed swap, as long as you don't get hit with an herb or something like that, or a taunt. I mean, like a Prankster taunt. Close combat just for some damage. You can also replace Endure with a, what was it? Coaching's also an option too, just if you want to do coaching. If you want to raise their stats too while you're at it, but I feel like I mean, you can get away with. The other problem though is Pheromosa is going to take their speed, so Pheromosa is going to be really slow with terrible defenses after that. But the other move you can run with Pheromosa is actually Quick Guard for priority, especially if your Sash is 1 health and they're like, oh, I'm going to hit Pheromosa once and then KO it next turn. Fence also an option. It's more so if you predict they're going to use a Protect. It cancels. Okay, I'm not opening all that up. It cancels out Protect, pretty much. Protect, Detect, all those moves. I don't know what it does to Endure, but it will cancel those out. So your ally, if you're hitting a dual move, and or if you're just gonna try to focus one person down, and Feint has priority. Feint has priority too, so it'll go first, break the thing, break whatever protecting move they use, and then your ally can KO them still. So it's really good to have, especially in doubles, or if you do it and their ally, one of your opponents uses like Surf or something and it does a ton of damage to them because they thought they were safe from Protect. So it's a good option to have, but it's very situational because you have to kind of predict they're going to use Protect. Plus Beast Boost is not really, doesn't really matter. Beast Boost though, if it does activate, will raise your attack because you speed swapped. That's another thing that how Beast Boost works. It's not affected by stat changes, but if you use speed swap or something like that, then it is affected by those. And another way to run it is just a non-Dynamax Pheromosa with just Endure weakness policy. And Endure, take a super effective hit and then KO everything at that point. And try to just outspeed KO everything. Close combat. Pheromosa does not learn acrobatics or anything, which is weird that Pheromosa does not learn acrobatics, because that would be really good on this Pheromosa. But Endure, Lunge, Poison Jab. Again, Lunge, even if it doesn't KO, it lowers their attack, which is really good. And I also pick it over Skitter Smack just because it has more damage and it does their attack. Also 100% is pretty good. And I like the Poison Jab here for fairies, just so you can do a ton of damage to fairies instead of you can also run like Triple Axle, for example, for dragons. It just depends on what you want to KO. And once you get that weakness policy, you get a +3. That's a ton of damage, and they'll very rarely survive it. And the good thing about Triple Axle too is against a multi-scale Dragonite, for example, the first hit will get negated. Well, not negated, but it'll get the damage cut from multi-scale. But the other 2 hits shouldn't, because Dragonite won't be at max health at that point. So that's a really good way to counter Dragonite. But some of the other moves it learns are like, these moves are all trash. Low Kick has its chances. Actually all these. Pretty much its whole moveset is so weird and bad, because like Triple Kick and Double Kick, they're not good moves at all. Especially because Triple Kick can miss a lot. Low Kick is whatever. They just have to be really heavy for Low Kick to do something. You're super fast. You don't really need agility. Stomp is not good. Bounce is really good, but whatever. That's more for Dynamax. These moves are good, but like, especially it's terrible. does not. Also, Icy Wind is an option in doubles if you want to lower their speed too, just to be extra careful. Whatever. These moves don't really. The Pheromosa is weird because it has moves. It just needs more special moves. But I mean, if you look at Pheromosa design, that makes sense. They just give it a lot of special attack, and even though it can't really use it, I wish they would have given it Aura Sphere though. But Drill Run's really good. It's ground coverage. Getting Poison Jab. Outrage is really good, but it locks you in, which can be a problem. It's not the greatest. U-turns, whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of U-turn unless you're gonna like Scarf U-turn. It does not learn Trick though, which sucks because speed, a really fast Trick would be really, really good. Blizzard, Swift, whatever. Like its coverage it has pretty good moves, but it only has a couple good moves like Outrage, Close Combat. Like it has these. I would run Throat Chop too. Throat Chop is actually really good, especially on the double set when you're not focused on a ton of damage. Throat Chops are really good, especially if you can outspeed. Or you know it's something like a Noivern, you Throat Chop it so it can't use Boom Burst is what I meant. Something like that. If you can tell they're gonna use a sound-based move, and you Throat Chop them, that's actually really good. Actually, really on any Pheromosa, but I like the coverage of this, for example. Like maybe if you're running a Pheromosa with just 4 offensive moves and a Sash physical, you can get rid of Bounce for like Throat Chop or Drill Run. Drill Run? Yeah, Drill Run, something like that. It's not bad, but I like the Poison Jab Triple Axle for the double coverage after. If you're not Dynamaxing, if you're Sashed, for example, I like the Poison Jab Triple Axle for the coverage. But that's how to use Pheromosa in Pokemon Sword and Shield.